Come on, I got to see at the Nashville Film Festival. It was the surprise screening. I was very excited. It's kind of a funny story. So, whenever I went to the theater, they were playing music from the Grand Budapest Hotel and the trailer from the French Dispatch. So I'm like, oh, the surprise screening, it's the French Dispatch. But it wasn't. They kind of fooled us there, but it was come on, and I was excited about that. Honestly, maybe a little more excited because like the French Dispatch comes out in like 2 weeks, and come on is still taking its sweet time to come to theaters. It is apparently the surprise screening for several film festivals, which is kind of a cool way to bring this movie to audiences. I don't know exactly why they're doing that. I don't know if it's because like I feel like this would be a movie that would sell out at festivals, but maybe they're like, well, Mike Mills, he isn't as known as like Wes Anderson or Edgar Wright or something like that. So maybe we make it the surprise screening, people discover this movie. But I don't think that's the case. This is an A24 movie. Most of the film community loves 20th Century Woman, and I think there's been a good buzz around this movie, and for good reason. Come on is one of the most profound and emotional movies that I've probably ever seen in a theater. I was tearing up at the end of this movie. I had to sit in the theater for a while because I was drying my eyes. I love this movie to death. Mike Mills' last film, 20th Century Woman, that I brought up before, is, I think, maybe the most underrated movie of the last 10 years. It's up there. I think that movie is profound and significant and important, and I don't think people talk about it enough. When people talk about the A24 canon, they talk about, oh, it's Lady Bird, and oh, it's Moonlight and stuff, and those are great movies, but 20th Century Woman's sitting right there, and it's just as good, if not better than those movies. And I think Come On is significantly better than 20th Century Woman. I didn't even know there was that high of a bar. I didn't know. I thought, oh yeah, 20th Century Woman, great movie, like top 5 A24. No, this movie, man. This movie. So first off, we have to talk about Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix has had an interesting career trajectory because he was the Joker recently and he won an Oscar for that. And the Joker is a weird, wacky role, and I love him in The Joker. I think he's great. There's people who do not like that movie, especially in my field, that think that's kind of a hacky movie. And his performance, he got nominated for a movie that, like, he shouldn't have won. I mean, he won for a movie that he won for a movie that maybe he shouldn't have won for. He should have maybe won for The Master, Like, that's been a kind of a thing people have agreed upon. I kind of disagree with that statement, to be completely honest. I think he's great in The Joker. I don't know if I'd give it over Adam Driver in Marriage Story, but that's another video. That's another video. Here, I think this is my favorite Joaquin Phoenix performance to date. And that is because Joaquin Phoenix isn't doing his typical, like, wacky thing. He is as subdued as a performer as I've seen in this movie. And because I think the initial kind of scare of the movie when you watch the trailer is like Joaquin Phoenix is playing like this lovable uncle character, and you're like, well, it's Joaquin Phoenix. He's weird. He shouted at the Academy Awards about cows. Like, how are you going to buy that? And you buy it from the moment the movie starts. There's a sincere warmness to him, and there is a sincere honesty to every single choice that he makes in this movie. And very fast, I forgot I was even watching Joaquin Phoenix in this movie. He blew me away. He deserves to be nominated for this movie. I don't know if it'll happen, but I do have him on my Gold Derby list right now, so I'm really hoping that it happens because he is terrific in this movie. He is so good. Woody Nelson, I think, is the kid's name. Maybe I got that wrong. One of the best child performances I've ever seen in my life. He is charming and chaotic, but again, sincere. He's not a moppety kid that you see in these movies. He sells his emotional beats so well. And the aunt in the movie, Gabby Hoffman plays the aunt in this movie, and she is also just terrific. And she has to carry a lot of this movie's by herself in the scenes that she's in. Joaquin Phoenix and Woody are able to like bounce off of each other, but she's not, and she sells her beats very well, and I love that about the movie. The movie looks gorgeous. It has stunning black and white cinematography. I am a sucker for black and white cinematography, and he really does sell it here, you know. And I love the fact that makes the entire movie kind of feel like a memory of this trip that, you know, you might have taken as a kid that kind of changed you in some way. And it is like it's not taking place in the past, but just it being in black and white makes it feel nostalgic. And that was something that I loved about the movie, because the movie is about being a kid, which is interesting since, you know, Joaquin Phoenix is the main character of the film, in my opinion, but the movie is showing how subdued he is to the point where he no longer expresses his emotions. His job is a journalist, and he's going around, he's interviewing a bunch of different kids about their thoughts on the world. And, you know, they're telling them these really sound and profound things about loneliness and isolation, but also getting back up and experiencing things and figuring out what it's like to be alive. And you can just tell in his eyes in certain scenes that he so relates to this. And he so like emotionally understands where these kids are coming from, but he does not feel like he can actually express that himself because he's an adult. And when you grow up, you have to, you know, suppress the inner emotions because you have to look dignified and you have to look respectful, you know. There's a reason that when we grow up, we don't cry every time we don't get something that we think we deserve. You know, babies do that. And I'm not saying we should do that, but I'm saying that when you are first introduced into the world as a baby, you express every emotion at the most heightened power because you don't understand how the world works yet. You don't understand how your mind works yet. So if something upsets you, you scream and you cry. If something makes you happy, you laugh, you know? And the nephew in the film, he still has some growing up to do in that regard. He does run off when he gets upset, and when he doesn't know how to feel something, he expresses that strongly, you know. And you can see that he is somehow teaching Joaquin Phoenix's character how to express those inner emotions. And the more and more the movie progresses, you see this kid kind of start to suppress some of his own emotions and not express himself too well because he doesn't think you should be allowed to. You know, Walt Disney had this beautiful quote that is, you know, grown-ups and adults are just kids grown up. We all had to come from that stage where we didn't know about the world, and we grow up and we still don't know about the world, but now we have to be a part of it. Therefore, we have to suppress our emotions. And I think Come On is a beautiful testimony to the times in life where you have to scream out that things are just not okay right now. And that is a completely okay and human thing to feel. And I believe after 2020, going into 2021, and all of that nonsense, this is kind of the perfect movie for that. And one of my favorite aspects of the film is just how subdued it is. You know, I mentioned before, I am a huge fan of Noah Baumbach's Marriage Story. I love that movie. And I recommended that movie to my mom because I was like, this was an engrossing movie. I was on the edge of my seat. I cried, you know, and she watched it and she was like, they just yelled at each other the whole time, which I mean is a fair estimate of the movie. I think like, you know, there's a lot of yelling and screaming. I think it's beyond that. I think Marriage Story is way beyond that. But if you're just watching Marriage Story for the first time, maybe that's what you take away from it. Come On is so subdued within its emotions that when you watch it, it's calming. It's not a, you know, this is the least anxiety inducing movie, except maybe certain scenes with the kid. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. But it is very chill, and I think is still coming across the emotions that it needs to and the poignancy that it needs to about life, you know? And so by the end of this movie, when you get the final piece of the movie, and when the movie kind of starts telling you really what it's about, it was so significantly profound to me that again started tearing up in the theater, and it washed over me. It was unexpected. Like, it unexpectedly stabbed me in the heart because throughout the movie, you're kind of laughing, you're enjoying it, you love the relationships. It's cute, it's thoughtful, and then boom, at the end, it's just boom. But there's no shouting moment. Well, okay, there is a shouting moment, but it's not like out of angst, if that makes sense. There is no moment of like real emotional like pulling at the heart. Like here's what you need to feel right now. It's just that the movie is so good and so in tune with its emotions that the end of the movie really snuck up on me. And I think this is genuinely a perfect film. I cannot think of anything I would change about this movie. Um I think Mike Mills has a really special movie that is going to help a lot of people understand themselves within 2021, and it genuinely helped me. And I can't thank him enough for making this movie. I think this is kind of a testament to why I still love to see the little independent movies in theaters all the time, because one like this comes out and grabs you, you know? And it's certainly one I'll be seeing again in theaters when it comes out, and it's certainly one I'll be buying. And again, I genuinely think it is one of my new favorite movies. And Come On gets a 5 out of 5 for sure. This movie, you need to see this movie as soon as you possibly can when it comes out. It is absolutely worth it. I love this movie. And that is my review for Come On, Come On. I'm going to be continuing to cover things that I saw at Nashville and other film festival films, so stay tuned for that. And see you guys later.